Hey dudes and dudettes, welcome to another episode of the Gamers Initiative, a gaming podcast for the gaming elite. It's been way too damn long since I've done a video or recorded any kind of podcast, but my return could not have come at a better time, as the latest news surrounding the rebirth of the survival horror genre continues to offer promise. Today's topic is the highly anticipated, well, by me anyway, survival horror point-and-click adventure game NightCry. In this podcast, I'll give you everything from the updated synopsis to character bios, videos, screenshots, and more. I'd also like to share my thoughts on Remothered, a video game that now, unfortunately, resides in development hell. And as always, I'd love to hear your opinions on these topics and the podcast itself, so please add a comment below, like and share the video with family, friends, hell, share it with grandma even though she's catatonic, but most importantly, enjoy. Alright, so here we go. NightCry, previously known as Project Scissors, is an upcoming survival horror game, and it's a Clock Tower spiritual sequel. Thank you, Jesus! Being developed by Nude Maker for the PlayStation Vita, iOS, Android, and just recently coming off a Kickstarter campaign, fully funded to accommodate for PC as well, to celebrate the 20th anniversary of Clock Tower: The First Fear. Right now, there's a release date of sometime in December of 2015. Hopefully that doesn't get pushed back. But goddamn, spiritual successor to Clock Tower, the series. Amazing. Already right there, you've got my full attention. Just, you can't take my money fast enough. I love Clock Tower. It's probably it was probably the first survival horror game I ever played. Scared the shit out of me when I was a kid, to the point where the third day that I had it, I ended up taking it back and trading it in for Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. Long regretted decision. But, that's the past. What can you do? What I did do to rectify that, however, I did break down, and for $68 on Amazon, I bought a Black Label edition of Clock Tower, released for the PlayStation. In America, it was just Clock Tower. A lot of people got it confused as the first game in the series. Even though it wasn't, Clock Tower: The First Fear was in fact the first game of the series. Both of those games being the best out of the entire series. There's 3 games. Clock Tower: First Fear, there's 4. Clock Tower: First Fear, Clock Tower 2, The Struggle Within, or aka Ghost Head, and then there was Clock Tower 3, developed by Capcom, and then Capcom came out with a game called Haunting Ground, and if you remember, because of the aesthetics of the game, it was actually deemed to be Clock Tower 4, which all the fans rightfully agreed that it was very much a Clock Tower game. So technically, 5 games in the Clock Tower series. There was a bit of a stretch. They tried to include Rule of Rose in the Clock Tower family, but I haven't played that yet. I don't know much about Rule of Rose. But for right now, let's just keep it simple. There was originally, a couple of years ago, there was originally a Clock Tower 5 that was announced. And it was supposed to be a sequel to pick up right after Clock Tower for the PlayStation. And unfortunately, it got pushed back to what we now know as Project Scissors, aka NightCry. NightCry is being directed by the series' original Hifumi Kono, who directed the first 2 Clock Tower installments. Mishiro Ito is a Silent Hill art and monster director, and he's also on the team, which is really, really badass. And then you've got Takashi Shimizu, gotta make sure I say these names right. And he directed the live-action teaser trailer for the game, which you guys saw in the beginning. So, pretty badass. There's also a full-length short film for the game, which expands more on the trailer, which, I gotta admit, live-action trailers for video games, fucking amazing. I've always loved it. A lot of people thought of them as campy and very uninspiring or not captivating. I've always liked it. I've always thought it was really cool. Evil Within took a cue from that. They did the live trailer for that as well. I thought that was really cool. Oh man, I can't think of the other games. I know Duke Nukem 0 Hour had a live action trailer. Then there was another game for the PS2. I remember seeing the live action trailer for that fucking constantly, to the point where it was just aggravating, but I can't remember. Anyway, we're getting too far off track. If you haven't seen the full length, I won't include it in the podcast because it's just going to take up too much time, but I will give a link in the description to the full length where you can actually watch it. It's actually on the GameSomniac channel as well. But then you've got Nobuko Toda, known for her work as a composer on games like Metal Gear Solid and Halo. She's on the team as well, and by the way, her music is amazing. As a sound engineer and a music composer myself, I love video game soundtracks, and Nobuko is by far one of the best. So check this out. The game is actually set on a cruise ship. Set on a cruise ship. Titanic style. It's set aboard a luxurious cruise liner called the Oceanus, or the Oceanus, as I call it. And it's in the middle of the ocean. And the cruise begins from Venezia, Italy. God, I hope I'm saying all this shit right. Making a stop in Southampton, England, and then finally crossing Atlantic en route for the Caribbean islands. The heroine of the game and her friends are college students from North America, and they've got field work training beginning in the Aegean Islands, and then they're making their trip back on the cruise liner. So they've got this huge trip back and forth, and of course fucking mischief and chaos ensue, preferably at the beginning of the trip, because then you've got this huge trip on this cruise liner that's not in vain. You know, hopefully it doesn't happen at the end of the trip. That would kind of take away from the tension and all that. However, a group of cultists sneak on board, those damned cultists. As the ship sails across the deep blue ocean, a series of gruesome and mysterious murders begin to take place by a female creature known as the Scissor Walker. Now, here is the first sign of spiritual succession to the Clock Tower series. If you're an advocate, as myself, of the Clock Tower game, you will know if the game does not have giant pair of scissors, it's not a Clock Tower game. Surely not. It could be a game called Clock Tower, much like The Struggle Within, or Clock Tower 3, or even Haunting Ground. But if it does not have a miniature dwarf creature wielding a giant pair of fucking scissors, it's not a Clock Tower game. This is a Clock Tower game. It's called NightCry, but don't kid yourself. It's a Clock Tower game. Now, I like the fact that the creature is female, and I also like the fact that they call it a Scissor Walker instead of self-identifying. Like, instead of saying Scissor Men or Scissor Woman, they call it a Scissor Walker, because that to me says that there's a possibility there are multiple fucking creatures. Either multiple creatures, and we might only see one in the game, but it brings up the possibility that there could be multiple creatures, more of these fucking things out there. Or it also says to me that you've got people who could possibly become these Scissor Walkers. So let's say you go ahead and kill the enemy, and then all of a sudden the creature, whether it's a spiritual entity or what have you, maybe it inhabits the body of another deceased person or one of its victims. Now that becomes a Scissor Walker. So just context clues alone, I started thinking about what this game's like, and it starts scaring me in a good way, because I know I probably won't be disappointed. It's also refreshing that it's a female villain, because we had the two Clock Tower games, and it was Bobby and Dan, it was Bobby and Dan. And now you've got this female, and the occult is involved, which the cult was actually involved in most of the other Clock Tower games as well, but it was very lightly hinted upon. You didn't really have a full-fledged involvement from a cult in the games. So this is actually really cool, because now you know that there's some really weird shit going on. Soon the ocean liner, it gets crippled and adrift at sea, like I said, Titanic, and has become an inescapable death trap for all the passengers. Now you've got these two main characters, Monica and Rooney. As passengers of the ship, the player will be tasked with solving the murder mystery to ensure their own survival, as well as the rest of the innocent passengers on board. The cool thing is it will feature multiple playable characters and endings, just as you had in Clock Tower. Unfortunately, the first Clock Tower, you only had Jennifer, and then the second Clock Tower, you had Helen, Jennifer, and Gotts. So, but there's a lot more characters in this game, plus they're actually thinking one of their goals for more funding is to include more playable characters, which means more more endings. So the possibility of how big this game is and how many scenarios you have, right now it's already huge, but it could actually get bigger. And the synopsis also points out that there will be supernatural elements present in the story, which you can't have a Clocktail game without it. So I managed to scrounge up an entire list of all the characters that are currently in the game. Like I said before, they might improve this list and add more characters, but for right now, I have a list of all the current characters in the game. The first character of which is your main character, Monica Flores. She is an American 21-year-old student. She's taking Leonard Cosgrove's course. She's an outgoing person. She has a lot of friends, but she has no best friends. She suffers from mood swings, and she's very easily influenced by passing trends. Her and the other side character, Rooney Simpson, they don't get along, most likely because they're polar opposites. She comes from a very impoverished background. She's the eldest daughter of 7 siblings. Monica makes her way through college by working part-time as a waitress, and get this, a janitor. She's got 2 jobs. She's a janitor and a cliche. That's how she makes her way through college. Her dream is to fall in love with a celebrity, and she hopes to accomplish that during the cruise. And unless that celebrity is the severed head of Tom Cruise, that's just not going to happen. Rooney Simpson is an American 22-year-old, and every time I hear the name Rooney, I don't know why they picked Rooney. That's such an awkward name. Well, not awkward, it's just, you don't hear it a lot. And the last time I've heard the name Rooney was Edward Rooney from Ferris Bueller. So I keep thinking of Edward Rooney in a NightCry game. It's amazing. She's an American 22-year-old. She's one of the other students that takes Cosgrove's course. She's introverted, serious to a fault, and dislikes standing out. Her grades are relatively high. She has largely lost the will to live after being possessed by suicidal ideations following an incident in her past. Her schoolmates make fun of her, calling her glum and stale, and she gets the sense that she doesn't belong in the group. So here's the outcast. You have the outcast and I guess the popular underdog, I guess. So Monica Flores, the popular underdog, and Rooney Simpson, who's the goth/misery chick of the group. And then you've got Jerome. I can't pronounce his last name. Jerome is a gifted 28-year-old French conductor with a slender build and sensitive demeanor. Rooney is attracted to his introversive character and cultured background. Most recently, he's been troubled by his unreliable memory and joined the cruise in hopes of getting some much-needed rest. Then you've got Leonard Cosgrove. He's the 55-year-old British-born cultural anthropologist and is escorting the heroine and her friends aboard the cruise. He's hands-on, logical, and interested in the occult phenomenon from an anthropologist's point of view. But he managed to get to the bottom of and debunk several occult deceptions. So basically, Leonard is kind of like John Cusack's character in 1408. Leonard seems like he actually believes it a lot more than John Cusack's character, but he basically goes around and debunks all the false perceptions of occult phenomenons. But in his heart of hearts, he's actually a romantic and occult fanatic and wants nothing more than to one day encounter an honest-to-goodness supernatural phenomenon that he's unable to demystify. Which, judging on the game he's in, is going to be a very, 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 very deadly trait, unfortunately. So, that's NightCry, basically, in a nutshell. You've got the Scissor Walker. Now, check this out, too. I gotta tell you about Scissor Walker, because Scissor Walker's insane. From the full-length live-action short that they filmed for the game, Scissor Walker is a supernatural being, carries giant fucking scissors. Now, in the full-length short, the creature actually turns its own arms into a pair of scissors. It basically crosses its arms and forms the shape of scissors, but then it turns its arms into actual metal shears. So it's kind of like the T-1000 out of Terminator 2, which is a cool thing. I thought it was a cool concept, but I really don't want it to be in the game, which it's not. I found out that, from concept drawings and trailers that the creature actually has a giant pair of scissors, which, whew, thank God, bullet dodged. Dodged a bullet there. Crisis averted. Anyway, so the Scissor Walker, here's the fucked up part. You're on a cruise ship, Titanic style. Cruise ship. What's around you? Nothing but fucking water, right? Nothing but water. Guess how the Scissor Walker travels? Through water. It fucking teleports through water. It uses water to form itself. There's a point in the game when a bottle, it's the live action. The kid knocks over a bottle of water, and the scissor creature walks over top of the water and literally falls into the water. And then he knocks over another fucking bottle of water where he's at, which is across the room, and the Scissor Walker pops up out of that puddle of water. So you're basically fucked. This game is basically a fucking trap. This game is Trap Simulator 2015. But in all honesty, it really, 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 really brings attention. It's got everything a survival horror game should. They went back to the roots of their game development and decided to make it a point-and-click game, which it seems like it would be really hard on the Android to really get the touchscreen thing down. I kind of feel like that might fuck with the game a bit, but the PC version is going to be amazing. PC version is going to be good. PS Vita could be amazing. I don't know what to think of that, but I do know since they are going to have it released for the PC, I know the PC version is probably going to be the way to go, and it's going to be absolutely amazing. So I'm in love with this game, and the extended trailers with all the gameplay that's in there, it looks really good. Everything's work in progress right now, so all the gameplay that you'll see, it's all it's not polished, but it still looks really good for what it is. It's being made using the Unity engine, and I'm just really excited for it. Unfortunately, that's really all the information we have right now. You can actually go on the Kickstarter campaign and check out video of the developers playing the game after certain things from other departments of the development team have been added in. So it's really a shock to them as well, what they're hearing, what they're seeing. It just keeps adding on, and it looks to be an overall amazing experience for the survival horror genre. Now, the second part of this podcast I want to talk to you guys about was Remothered. Remothered was essentially a reboot of the Clock Tower series. Before NightCry was announced, we got this announcement that this indie game developer, Chris Darril, was going to be creating a game called Remothered, which was going to be a reboot or a remake, essentially, of Clock Tower: The First Sphere. Now, everything that they put out regarding to the game being remade as a remake or a reboot, it looked awesome. Looked really good. They had Jennifer, they had the kids, they had videos of the gameplay, they had Scissor Man. They showed us everything that you'd want to see, and it looked awesome. Really excited. We had this. There was a huge fan following for this game because we wanted it. It was something that we wanted at the time. We wanted a Clock Tower game. We wanted something that was very fear driven and everything like that. And Remothered really seemed to capture that. So, what I've got right in front of me is the Remothered wiki, and I've since grown a huge problem with Chris Darril and with the Remothered game. It's currently in development hell. It's on indefinite hiatus, and it doesn't look like they're going to go back to it anytime soon. Chris Darrill's already started a new game, and he's got other projects going on right now. But here's the wiki for Remothered. Check it out. So it was originally a Clock Tower remake. Here's what it is now. Remothered is an upcoming survival horror game tribute to Hifumi Kono's Clock Tower: The First Sphere and old Dario Argento's cinematography, directed by Chris Darril. Game is currently on an indefinite hiatus while the developer collaborates on other projects. Here is your synopsis from Remothered Wiki. Remothered talks about 4 orphans who have arrived to a family house, property of a rich landowner, after their orphanage, Flemington Girls Institute, closes down. Before the girls are able to adjust to their new home, they will find the strange clues of something terrible that has happened there some years ago. The mysterious suicide of a woman and the unexplainable death of her child. After long asylum confinement, the girls will start to soon disappear one after another. Okay, here's the problem I have already. Remothered, I'm going to say it one more time, started out Clock Tower Remake. Clock Tower First Viewer Remake. Looked amazing. Gameplay looked amazing. It was awesome. What Chris Darril has done in recent years, or in recent months, I can't remember. I've actually stopped following the game. Chris Darril has really changed shit. He has added a lot of extra stuff, and he's basically turned this into not even a reboot. This is now a game, an original game, that he is saying is now a tribute to the Clock Tower series. Here's the fucked up part. His influences for this game, they never mention Clock Tower. This game was Clock Tower. It was Clock Tower, started out as Clock Tower, started out as a Clock Tower project. Now it's an original Chris Darril project. This pisses me off. This really fucks me over. This really bends me over and shoves it up the tailpipe. Because you blatantly took something that was meant to be this and turned it into this. You went from amazing to... I mean, you had a game, you said to yourself, I'm going to do a remake of a game that I really love, that other people love. I think we need a new modern version of the game. I'm going to make that game. Very admirable. We all followed you. Now you're telling us, oh yeah, no, that's not this game. No, this is an original of mine. I don't know what you're talking about. That's basically what you've done. Where in the Clock Tower series was there a mysterious suicide of a woman and an unexplainable death of her child? Because now what you've done is you've taken Mrs. Burroughs, you've basically made her a fucking suicide case, and I'm guessing the unexplainable death of her child is Bobby. They don't even mention Dan. So now you've got, let's just assume, because no names have been thrown around, but let's assume, because we know better. The mysterious woman is Mary. The unexplainable child is Bobby. For some reason they were confined, who knows. That fucking family was crazy anyway. But now what you've done is you've killed them off, you've made them spiritual phenomenons. That's your enemy in this Remothered game. It's a spiritual phenomenons. You've got demons, spiritual phenomenons, you've got some bitch called the Red Nun with 2 gardening shears. That's the closest you're getting to Scissor Man. The creature that was once Bobby, because the original Remothered concept art had Bobby as Scissor Man, which looked amazing, but the new concept art for Bobby has Bobby as some kind of fucking spiritual phantasm mixed or comprised of flesh and steel, as like one leg is a shear from a thing of scissors, one arm is a scissor thing. It's all fucked up. It's really bad. And it was like flip of a coin overnight. It just happened. Hey, where's that Clock Tower game? Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. This is Remothered. That's not Clock Tower. That's pretty much what it was. First news of the project dates back to 2007 when it was announced as a direct remake of the original Clock Tower. But that changed in May 2010 when Chris Darril announced that the tribute he entitled Remothered, also referred to as Reborn, is a go and it's on its way towards production, unveiling new images and videos of its progress. So right there, blatantly, just came out and said, you know what? Fuck you guys. Middle finger in the air. No, not a Clock Tower game anymore. I'm sorry. This pisses me off. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's just me. But does nobody share? Does nobody, for once, empathize on what I'm feeling?
Am I wrong?
Yeah, but I wasn't.
Am I wrong? Is the whole world gone crazy?
I feel betrayed. I really do. I feel betrayed because this really sad part is it looks great. It looks like a great game. I actually hope it sees a release one day. But the only reason why it looks good was because I was brought in. I was introduced to this project believing it was Clock Tower. I was fucking deceived. I'm sorry. I was deceived. And the bad part is I like this game, but I only like it because I was like I said, introduced to it as a clock tower. So now I'm still thinking it's clock tower. And I don't know, I just feel bad because now there's a huge fan following for this guy and for the games that he makes, and people buy into it. So now this guy, here's the other part that pisses me off. Now he's involved with NightCry. He is on the NightCry staff. Chris Darril, the fucking sorcerer magician who turns tricks on his fans, he is part of NightCry. And that bothers me because I don't know how much influence this guy has. But God help him if somehow his influence changes NightCry. I swear to Christ. I really do. I mean, that's as far as it'll go. I'm not going to be able to do anything about it, but it fucks me off, I tell you. I don't understand. This guy blatantly rips off Clock Tower. It's a facade. He starts out as saying, okay, I've got this amazing game. Now it's just an original creation of mine that I've attributed, or I've made in tribute to Clock Tower. It's got nothing to do with Clock Tower. I mean, it's wrong to me. It just seems wrong.
It's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong.
He changed the characters' names. He's got Jennifer Sutton, Lindsay Silverhat, Lauren Louise, Anna Zarich, Rosemary Reed, Madame Svenska, Stephen. Oh, check this out. Instead of Barrows, it's Stephen Baroni. So now we've got fucking now it's not even Norwegian now. Now we're Italian. It's fucking Italian horror. So you've got Stephen Baroni, Richard Felton, Robert Baroni, who's more likely Bobby Baroni or Barrows, the drowned bald man, whoever the hell that is, and of course the Red Nun. Music: Christopher Darril, David Gonzalez, Matteo Gassotti, Dan Bayer composed the game soundtrack. Gothic rock band, I can't pronounce their fucking name, provided one of their best songs, Why, as the theme for Remothered. Dan Bayer is the last addition to the Remothered musicians. Remothered original game soundtrack is already available on digital stores. I created a metal version of Don't Cry Jennifer. It was on one of my band pages. I created it a long time ago. And one of the things I did, because I really believed in what Chris Darril was doing, is I actually used in the video a part where Mary was trying to kill Jennifer. And they were struggling, the music was intense, the heart was pounding in the game, and she stabs Jennifer, and Jennifer lets out this hellacious shrieking scream. Yeah, cream, exactly, Hell Cream. Hell Cream, with 25% less demons! Possession! Anyway, and then once the scream lets out, it goes into my metal version of Don't Cry Jennifer. And I had actually messaged Dale just to make sure it was alright that I used the video, because it was supposed to be test footage for the game, and I didn't want to step on toes. And the guy actually said, "I'm sorry, but we have all the musicians we need." It's not like I was auditioning to be part of the game. That would have been really cool if I was part of the game. I would have enjoyed that. But it's, looking back at shit like that and then looking at this now, it just, like I said, it's just animosity. It really pisses me off. Influence. Chris Darril has stated that much of his inspiration for Remothered comes from the Lovecraft literature as well as Dario Argento's cinematography. He has also been inspired by games such as Haunting Ground, Silent Hill, and Siren, not Clock Tower. Where's Clock Tower in that list? If you're gonna fuck somebody in the ass, the least you can do is give them a reach around. So, I mean, do you see what I mean? I mean, maybe is it me? Am I wrong to feel this way? Now, don't get me wrong. As a musician, as an entertainer, I've stolen shit. Don't get me wrong. I mean, nobody's a saint here. But this guy, blatantly, in front of everybody, ripped off Hifumi. And then he was invited to work on NightCry. How does that work? And then check it out. IMDb has a storyline as well. Check this out. 1978, with the Flemington Girls Institute resignation, it causes the death of one of the Institute's main guardians. Jennifer and Lindsay, two poor misfits that are too old and difficult to be adopted, have moved to Provence near Alps in a gathering center, the Red Vineyard, the Baroni's family house property, to help and work. So, I mean, already it's way fucked up. Jennifer feels so strange about that house, but her trustful and beautiful tutor, Miss Reed, heartens her, guaranteeing about the mansion peacefulness and ex-vineyard's management. The blonde 15-year-old girl Jennifer has grown up with, an only memory of her foggy past, a beautiful swan-shaped cameo that she wears. I have no idea what in the fuck that sentence is supposed to mean. Now it's just bad writing. Madame Svenska. Now, Madame Svenska in the videos, amazing character, because Madame Svenska is very motherly, open, and then in one split second, she's fucking evil. And she's scary. She's really scary. So Madame Svenska was a really cool character to see, and unfortunately, Madame Svenska has been taken out of the game because it's no longer a clock tower game. The Stark housekeeper from East Europe greets the girls and introduces them to the other two mansion guests, Lauren and Anna. The girls reveal to them that the housemaster, Stephen Baroni, is always drunk and almost totally in a catatonic state. Despite the beginning between the two couples of girls starts a mutual dislike. Wait a minute. And it ends there. He doesn't even finish the synopsis. So, I don't know. You had an amazing thing going, you turned it into this, now your game's in development hell. So, how'd that turn out for you? Anyway, so support NightCry. Please support NightCry, because NightCry is going to be an amazing game. Hopefully, shit doesn't happen. Hopefully, it doesn't get canceled like Silent Hills. Unfortunately, Hideo couldn't keep it together with, or Konami probably forced the issue, but unfortunately, Silent Hills is no longer a thing. There will be an untitled Silent Hill project coming in the next year or two, unfortunately, without Hideo's involvement. So the only thing we really have to look forward to now is NightCry, because NightCry is going to be amazing. Remothered is not anymore. Well, this wraps up another episode of the Gamers Initiative, a gaming podcast for the Gamers Elite. Please, guys, support NightCry. Keep looking out for some really good horror games. The indie circuit's actually releasing a lot of really good things. There's a lot coming out between now and next year. Keep looking out. Give me suggestions for podcast things you'd like to hear in future podcasts. Like I said, feel free to add a comment below, like, share, comment, whore out this video to all your friends and family, and post it to your blog. Send it in the family Christmas letter. I don't know. Do your thing. You guys keep gaming. I'll catch you bitches later. Bye.
Oh my god, the arrows are cute. Like, they don't even have an animation done, they just disappear.